Hi, Kristina. I'm just testing my sound and my audio and my video. There we go.
Excellent. The rest of our crew is
10
apparently
minutes behind.
we have a password required apparently, so we're communicating that out to everyone.
Okay, good.
So hopefully they'll be with us soon.
Yeah.
Here's Matt.
Hey, Kristina, how are you?
I'm well, how are you?
Not too bad.
Did you have to enter a password to join?
Yeah, and I know it's like I think Zoom did an update that they basically require like passwords on everything. You have to like either manually remove it or preset it, or I don't know, something, because I know internally have been dealing with that that problem with our own meetings. Yeah, so I did enter a password. Yeah.
Okay.
So
I'm looking to see if I can get rid of it, but we'll see.
Why would you want to get rid of it? Everybody loves passwords.
Who loves passwords?
Yeah, I know, especially Tomasz, I know, especially loves passwords. I can tell.
You know what? I've been blessed today, lucky today, because it didn't ask me for a password. So it is possible that I use Zoom all the time.
Yeah.
I can remove something on my side, or maybe the link I used the link in an email.
Yeah. Yeah, no, they because we everybody on our team was complaining because it just started, and they leave you in the waiting room if you don't do it, and it started just like a week ago. It's really annoying, actually. Yeah. So I love the outfit, by the way. You look good. You look very DeFi legit. I was gonna say, now that I know your background, it's even more interesting. You and I actually have some similarities in our backgrounds with some of the infrastructure world and whatnot. So makes sense.
Sounds great.
Yeah, that's
Love
cool.
it.
Yeah, we'll have to. I told Ari that we'll have to catch up after this, because I'd like to learn more about what you're up to, because you like me, we kind of operate. There's kind of two worlds, right? There's the so-called infrastructure world, and then there's this other world that's actually going on around us, and which but deeply related.
Yeah.
Right, in a lot of ways, because and it's funny how many times I talk to people and I tell them, blockchain is the new infrastructure, right? And it's what VMs were to cloud and cloud is to blockchain. It's just kind of reinventing what we do, which is interesting.
It sure is. And trying to combine those two worlds is interesting, right? That's what I'm trying to do with DeFi.
Yeah.
It's an experiment, like most of things in this space.
Yeah. Yeah, of course. I think we're all experimenting. It's I don't have a fancy picture like you to put in my background. I may have to go find something now. You may have inspired me to find something else. But I always have Seattle, because I talk like you. I talk to people all over the world all the time, and people are always like, "Well, where are you?" Right? And so I've started putting this because most people know what this is, right? Like, oh, yeah. Okay, you're in Seattle. Great, right? So it's
that's a good one. Yeah, I like that one.
I've been trying to, but yours is definitely the more interesting and fits the talk a whole lot better than mine. So
yeah, I took that picture a few weeks ago. So
yeah.
Actually, this one maybe a few months ago.
Yeah,
but it still looks the same. Still looks that messy.
I should go find some pictures of me running around the data centers. Yeah, we'll save that talk for another day. I have all sorts of funny stories about running around in the data center, riding skateboards inside, and all kinds of things.
So just a quick check-in. As I understand it, Matt, you are our moderator, is that correct?
Yeah, unfortunately, yeah.
No, you're fine.
No, I am. No, I am. And so I did have a couple of quick questions. So the overall session is 50 minutes roughly. So it's like 10:20. Is it 10:20 or 10:30? Because I thought it was 10:30 to 11:15, but is that not?
We expect our attendees around 10:15. Then I'll do a quick overview for a few minutes. Then from 10:20 to 11:15, there's a panel Q&A, which will then be followed by the discussion group overview at 11:15, and then we break into discussion groups for an hour.
Sure, makes sense. Do we? So as we go through the talk, then what should we do? Just hang tight until you'll close things up eventually once we get done, and I assume kind of pop back on, like once we're getting close to the time, you'll come back on screen and
correct.
Just say, hey, let's finish.
We'll do the panel and the Q&A, and then from there, I'll break everyone up into breakout groups, and then I'll just broadcast a message with you know, we've got 15 minutes left, 5 minutes left, and then everybody will come back.
Okay. What time should we kind of finish our Q&A, our kind of panel discussion? Like, what time should we be done roughly?
Around 11:15, and Matt, I'll send you just a chat, a personal chat to say like, hey, heads up. Unless you want to just call it out.
No, that's okay. Either way, or you can just turn your video on or something. I was gonna say, because it's just thinking through the details, because and is it open to any? Is the Q&A portion open to the audience as well? So say like 11:05.
Sorry.
No.
I work in my basement in front of a giant window, and my 4-year-old and 6-year-old are being adorable on the other side.
I know. I love it. I love it. That's why I'm actually wearing this headphone, because it's the quietest one that I have, because there's a lot of other things going on in the background. It's funny because my other headset, like, it picks up all the noise, and you can hear like piano and this and that, and so is there audience Q&A time, so for them to ask questions, or is it just us kind of going until 11:15 and then?
The audience Q&A could be, I would recommend that should be part of the breakout groups.
Okay.
So once the panelists have their Q&A, unless you want to ask for questions from the audience, I'm happy to monitor the chat feature. Okay. And
yeah, it's a pretty long panel. That's why I'm asking, because it's usually these are like 35 minutes or something, right? Whereas I think ours it's almost an hour, 55 minutes, which is actually pretty long.
Our panel?
Wow.
Yeah, 55 minutes. Can you believe that? I was like, wow, are you kidding? That's huge. I hope I have enough questions.
And I'll let you, as you're sort of talking and introducing, I'll let you say, if you have a question, you know, put it in the chat, and then I will monitor the chat and let you know.
Sure. Sure.
Audience questions.
So Tomasz and Corey, feel free to talk in long form if you want.
Okay.
About the topics. I mean, don't feel that we have to be kind of short. We can kind of go into it, because I think I'm going to save the questions. I won't get to it, but ideally, like, we kind of use it to take the opportunity to educate people, because I after talking to a few people over the last couple of days, I realized, like, really nobody really even knows what DeFi is. I think most people think it's blockchain, right? They're like, oh, isn't DeFi just the new word for blockchain? I'm like, no, it's not, unfortunately, right? But that's most people building products are using DeFi because it's popular, right? But
it's the new thing, right? The new hashtag you need to have.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, so, one of the things we can also talk about is DeFi. Is DeFi a thing, or is it a verb? Is DeFi something you do, or is something it is, right? And to some degree, you can argue that DeFi is the way you interact with things. It's not actually a thing.
Yeah. It's funny because one of the conversations I had with somebody yesterday, right? As far as he's concerned, DeFi is all about like workplace and something else. I know we kind of briefly talked about that, but so what I was going to do, let me just share my screen here real quick with you guys, and I'll just show you what I have here on my piece of paper. So I have kind of an intro section here, basically just give a real quick, hey, thanks, I'm Matt, let's meet our panelists, Corey and Tomasz, of course. And then what I was actually thinking is we have these kind of couple of early entry level questions, like what is DeFi, why is it disrupting? But I think even more so, like, I was going to throw in a few questions, like exactly kind of what you just said, Tomasz, like, what is DeFi? Like, how do we use it? Like, what do I do with it, for example, right? And because I have a suspicion that probably a lot of people have never actually tried it, tried Uniswap, for example. So maybe we can kind of go into those offshoots, right? Just to help people kind of understand, or maybe see, that it's a bigger picture than this so-called word decentralized finance. And maybe you guys want to talk about, terminology wise, it's actually not a very good term, because it's makes it sound like it's one thing, but it can actually be 100 things. Right?
I mean, maybe we can say, it's a bit like banking. Banking means a lot of different things to a lot of people. It can mean taking a loan out, it can mean savings account. but there's investment banking, there's the taking company public,
Mhm.
there's all of that part of banking that, it fits under the umbrella of banking.
Mhm.
But same with DeFi, there are a lot of, things that people are doing with it today. I think there's a lot of things that people haven't even invented yet. I
Yeah.
think that's the really fun question, which is, what, you had the iPhone and you had, the location services and the internet, and then you
Mhm.
got an Uber. Now you have all the tools that DeFi is building and rolling out. What inventions can occur on top of it? That's super exciting to me.
Mhm. I'll just add that in here, kind of at the top.
I think we'll just kind of roll with it. Now, I missed the part of the question. Will the community be asking questions? They won't be asking directly. They may be typing them to you.
Yeah. So Kristina will monitor the chat. I was just going to throw it out there because at least kind of leave it open ended. And the reason being is because I think with a longer panel session, kind of have that open ended Q&A. So if we do actually run out of questions or kind of feel that it's lagging a little bit, right, we can kind of swap it over and just say, okay, great, right, we're good, and let's kind of lead into the Q&A, and then also set up the working group. What do you call them? The split groups.
Yeah.
I just had a brain freeze there for a moment. So what I was going to do is kind of, here's again kind of the list of questions, and I can share these with you guys real quick. I also just grabbed a couple of nuggets of information. So if we do need some detail, or we want to go a little into the specifics of DeFi and kind of what's actually happening in the marketplace, we've got a few kind of data points to lean on. So one example, like I think is a very relevant question, right? Is this one right here, where 96% of DeFi is happening on the East network, and I have another question earlier about scalability and some of these things, and I think that's a valid topic, right, to really kind of go into. Is does that actually make sense? Because in a lot of ways you're building your own barriers, right? We've actually created a lot of limitations as to what we can do because of that, in terms of doing that. And then in terms of closing it out, just kind of, again, leading it into the breakout sessions. So what I was going to end with was two things, is, asking you guys, number one, what's one thing about DeFi that you want to kind of leave the panel session with, right? Sharing with everyone. And then two is, what would be a question, right? A kickoff question for each breakout group, essentially. So if you want to think about that, if you already have something in mind, right? But that way we can kind of give those breakout groups a kickstart, if you will. So I'm going to just share this document with you guys. I don't know if you have it in front of you or not. So it's relatively the same questions that we talked about earlier, but I'll at least share it. And that way, if for some reason I lose my internet for like the third time in 4 days, you guys Kristina can jump in and ask some of the questions if need be.
Good idea.
Did you guys have any problems yesterday?
No.
Yeah, I'm out on the east side, so we're out in Snoqualmie, and it was brutal yesterday. But we've had 2 like 4-hour outages happening, which